Welcome to English Podcast.
I am Lisa.
And I am Eric. If you improve your English easily, this podcast is perfect for you.
So let's get started and make English learning easy. What are the words today, Eric?
The first word today is charming. Then we will continue with accordingly and to twirl. Then hit up. And the final one is hang in there.
Okay, let's start with the first word.
Our first word today is charming.
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 This is a lovely adjective in English.
That's right, Lisa. Charming means attractive or pleasing in a way that makes people like you. Let me give an example sentence. The old village was very charming with its small cottages and pretty gardens.
It means that the village was attractive and pleasant, making people like it because of its cute houses and nice gardens.
Good explanation. Now it's your turn, Lisa. Can you give us another example?
Sure, here's another example. Sarah has a charming personality that makes everyone want to be her friend.
It means that Sarah has an attractive and pleasant way of behaving that makes people like her and want to be friends with her.
That's right. Now, let's talk about how to use this word. Charming is an adjective, so we use it to describe people, places, or things.
Good point, Lisa. We can say a charming smile, a charming restaurant, or he is very charming.
Exactly. Now, let's hear a short dialogue using the word charming.
Hey, Tom, how was your date last night?
It was great. We went to this charming little cafe in the old town.
Oh, that sounds nice. What was so charming about it?
It had these beautiful old paintings on the walls and soft music playing. Very romantic.
That does sound charming. And how was your date? Was she charming too?
Yes, she was. She had such a charming laugh and told great stories.
Wow, it sounds like you had a perfect evening.
That was a great example, Eric. It shows how charming can be used to describe both places and people.
Yes, and it also shows that charming often gives a positive feeling.
Absolutely. So, Eric, do you think charming is a common word in English?
Yes, I'd say it's quite common. People use it often to describe things they find attractive or pleasant.
That's true. Is it more formal or informal?
It can be used in formal and informal situations, but it has a slightly formal feel.
I agree. Well, I think we've covered charming pretty well. Shall we move on to our next word, Eric?
Yes, let's do that. Remember, listeners, using words like charming can help you express positive feelings about the world around you.
Great point, Eric. And now, what is the next word?
The next word we are going to explain today is accordingly.
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 Accordingly is an adverb. It often means in a way that is suitable or right for the situation. It's like doing something for what has already been said.
That's right. And accordingly is often used after something has been explained or described. For example, she studied hard for the exam and accordingly she passed with high marks. It means that because she studied hard, she was able to pass the exam with good grades. The word accordingly shows the result of her hard work.
Here's another example. The weather forecast said it would rain, so he took an umbrella accordingly. This means that because the weather forecast said it would rain, he decided to take an umbrella. The word accordingly shows that his action was because of the weather forecast.
One thing to note is that accordingly is often used in more formal contexts. You might hear it in news reports, in business, or writing.
Yes, that's a good point. Accordingly usually comes after the main action or event has been explained, and it connects that event's results.
Now, let's see accordingly in a short dialogue.
I heard the weather might be bad tomorrow.
We should check the forecast tonight and plan accordingly.
Good idea. If it's going to rain, we can reschedule for next week.
In this dialogue, John says, "We should check the forecast tonight and plan accordingly." It means they will make their plans based on what the weather forecast says.
Exactly. If the forecast says rain, they will change their plans. Accordingly connects the forecast with their decision.
Do you think accordingly is a common word, Lisa?
You wouldn't hear it as much in everyday casual conversation, but it's definitely a good word to know for more serious situations.
That's true, and because it's more formal, it can make your writing or speaking sound more polished and professional.
Exactly. So remember everyone, accordingly is a great word to use when you want to show that something is done based on a situation or information.
Well said, Lisa. That's all for our explanation of accordingly. Let's move on to our next word. The next word today is to twirl.
To twirl.
To twirl.
Eric, can you explain what to twirl means?
Yes, of course. To twirl is a verb that means to turn something or someone around quickly, usually in a circle. For example, you can twirl a pen around your fingers or twirl a skirt around your body.
That's a great explanation, Eric. Now, let's give our listeners some example sentences so that our listeners can understand better. Can you give us the first example sentence, Eric?
Sure. Here's an example sentence. The little girl loved to twirl around in her favorite dress. It means that the girl enjoyed turning around in a circle while wearing her favorite dress.
That's a lovely example, Eric. Now it's my turn. The dancer twirled her partner around the dance floor. It means the dancer turned her partner around in a circle while dancing together.
And now, let's listen to a sample dialogue about the word to twirl.
Olivia, I love this dance move. Can you show me how to twirl around like that?
Of course, Emma. First, you need to stand with your feet together. Then, twirl around in a circle while keeping your arms extended.
Wow, that looks easy. Let me try. Whee! I love twirling around like this.
See? I told you it was easy. Now let's twirl around together.
Now, let's talk about the word twirl. What do you think about the word to twirl, Lisa?
Well, Eric, I think to twirl is a useful word because it's a fun action that people do in many different situations, like dancing or playing with kids. It's also a great way to describe a movement that's lively and energetic.
That's a great point, Lisa. And do you think to twirl is a formal or informal word?
I think to twirl is an informal word. It's not a word you would typically use in a formal setting, like a business meeting or a formal speech.
I agree, Lisa. To twirl is definitely an informal word. Well, that's all the word twirl.
Let's move on to our next word.
Sure. Our next word is hit up.
Hit up.
Hit up. To hit up means to contact someone, usually by phone or message, or to visit a place, like a store or restaurant. It's a casual phrase often used among friends.
Now, let's go over some example sentences to make it clearer. The first example sentence is, I'll hit you up later to make plans for the weekend. It means that I will contact you later to talk about what we should do during the weekend.
Good example. Here's another one. They decided to hit up their favorite coffee shop after work. It means that they decided to visit their favorite coffee shop after finishing work. It's important to note that hit up is an informal phrase, so you wouldn't use it in formal situations like talking to your boss. It's more for casual conversations with friends or family.
Exactly. And when using it, remember it's always followed by the person you're contacting or the place you're visiting. For example, hit up someone or hit up a place.
Yes, Lisa. Now, let's listen to a short dialogue using hit up.
Hey, do you want to hit up the new pizza place tonight?
Sure, I'll hit you up after I finish work, and we can go together.
Sounds good. I've heard great things about it.
Me too. I can't wait to try it.
That was a nice and simple dialogue. Hit up is really useful when you want to talk about making plans or visiting places, don't you think?
Definitely. It's a handy phrase, especially when texting or chatting with friends. Do you think hit up is very common, Lisa?
Yes, it is, but mostly in informal situations. You hear it a lot in casual conversations, especially among younger people. It's quick and easy to say.
True. And because it's informal, it's not something you would use in a business email or formal letter, but it's great for everyday chat.
Exactly. So, remember everyone. Hit up is a casual way to say you're going to contact someone or visit a place. It's perfect for making plans with friends.
Well put, Lisa. That's all for our explanation of hit up.
Okay, Eric, let's move on to the last word of today.
Sure, Lisa. Our last word of today is hang in there.
Hang in there.
Hang in there. Hang in there is an idiom. It is often used to encourage someone to keep going, even when things are difficult. Hang in there is a very common idiom in English. It means don't give up or stay strong. You might hear it when someone is going through a tough time and you're trying to motivate them to keep trying. Now, let's look at our first example sentence. I know you're having a hard time at school, but hang in there. It will get better soon.
It means that even though school is tough right now, you should keep trying and not give up because things will improve.
Now, let's give you another example. Lisa, do you have one?
Yes. Here is another example. When I was learning to ride a bike, it was very difficult, but my dad told me to hang in there, and I finally learned how to do it.
It means that learning to ride a bike was hard, but by not giving up and continuing to try, the person finally succeeded.
That's right, Eric. Now, let's talk about the phrase hang in there. It's important to know that this phrase is informal. We usually say it to friends, family, or people we know well. It's not something you would use in a formal situation like at work with your boss.
Great point, Lisa. Now, let's do a short dialogue to help everyone understand how to use hang in there in a conversation.
Hey Sarah, you look really tired. Are you okay?
Oh, John, I've been studying for my exams all week. I'm so stressed.
I understand. Studying can be really hard, but hang in there. You're almost done.
Thanks, John. I'll try. It's just so much work.
I know, but you're doing great. Just hang in there, and it will all be worth it.
You're right. I'll keep going.
So, in the dialogue, we heard hang in there twice. John used the phrase to encourage Sarah to keep studying, even though she was tired and stressed.
Yes, and it shows that hang in there is used when someone is having a tough time. It's a way to support them and tell them not to give up. Eric, what would you say about hang in there?
I think it's useful because everyone goes through difficult times. Whether you're studying, working, or learning something new, it's important to have a way to encourage someone to keep trying. And it's also informal, so you can use it with friends and family easily.
Absolutely. So remember, when someone you care about is having a hard time, you can say, hang in there, to show your support.
Yes, exactly. All right, that's it for today's episode of Simply Explained English. We hope you found it helpful and you have learned new words.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to hang in there with your English learning. You're doing great.
Well said, Lisa. Okay, see you next time.
Bye. I am Lisa.
And I am Eric. If you improve your English easily, this podcast is perfect for you.
So, let's get started and make English learning easy. What are the words today, Eric?
The first word today is adamant. Then we will continue with dozy and to commit. Then to be into. And the final one is let the cat out of the bag.
Okay, let's start with the first word.
Our first word today is adamant.
Adamant.
Adamant. This is a strong and useful adjective in English. Adamant means being very determined and refusing to change your mind or opinion. Let me give an example sentence. Despite the rain, John was adamant about going for a run.
It means that John was very determined to go running. Even though it was raining, he wouldn't change his mind.
Good explanation. Now it's your turn, Lisa. Can you give us another example?
Sure. Here's another example. The teacher was adamant that all students must finish their homework on time. It means that the teacher was very strict and wouldn't change her mind about the rules. Students must complete their homework by the deadline.
Good example. Now, let's talk about how to use this word. Adamant is often followed by about or that. We can say adamant about something or adamant that something should happen.
Exactly. Now let's hear a short dialogue using the word adamant.
Sarah, it's time for bed.
But Mom, I want to watch one more TV show.
No. I'm adamant about your bedtime. It's important for your health.
Please, just 30 more minutes?
I'm sorry, but I'm adamant that you go to bed now. No exceptions.
Okay, I understand.
That was a great example, Eric. It shows how adamant is used to express a firm, unchangeable decision. So, Eric, is adamant a formal or informal word?
It's more formal than casual, but it can be used in both formal and informal situations.
That's good to know. Do you think it's a common word in English?
It's fairly common, especially when people want to emphasize how strongly they feel about something. Additionally, it's useful because it helps people express strong opinions or decisions clearly. It's stronger than just saying sure or decided.
That makes sense. Well, I think we've covered adamant pretty well. Shall we move on to our next word, Eric?
Yes, let's do that. Remember, listeners, using words like adamant can help you express strong feelings or decisions in English. Okay, the next word we're going to explain is dozy.
Dozy.
Dozy is an adjective that means feeling very sleepy. When someone is dozy, they feel like they could easily fall asleep. If you're dozy, you're not fully awake. You might feel slow or tired, like you need a nap. Now, let's look at our first example sentence. After the big lunch, I felt dozy and wanted to sleep for a while.
It means that after eating a lot of food, the person felt very sleepy and wanted to rest.
Exactly. Now, here's another example. The warm sun made the cat dozy, so it curled up and fell asleep. It means that the warm sun made the cat feel sleepy, so the cat decided to curl up and sleep.
Yes, like between being fully awake and asleep.
Exactly. Now, let's do a short dialogue to show how dozy can be used in a conversation.
Wow, that was a long walk. I feel so dozy now.
Yeah, me too. The fresh air always makes me feel dozy. Maybe we should take a short rest.
Good idea. I could really sleep right now.
Me too. Let's just sit here for a while and enjoy the sun.
In the dialogue, we heard Dozy twice. Anna and Tom both felt sleepy after their long walk, and they used Dozy to describe how they felt.
Yes, and this shows that dozy is usually used to talk about feeling sleepy in a relaxed or comfortable way, not when you're extremely tired or exhausted.
Eric, do you think dozy is a common word in English?
It's not the most common word, but it's definitely useful. It's a nice way to describe that when you feel lazy or sleepy, especially after eating or spending time in the sun.
I agree. And because it's informal, it's a good word to use with friends or in casual conversations. It's also easy to remember because it sounds a bit like doze, which means to sleep lightly.
That's a great point, Lisa. So remember, if you ever feel sleepy but not completely tired, you can say you're feeling dozy.
Great point, Eric. And now let's move on to our next word.
Sure, Lisa. The next word we're going to explain is to commit.
To commit.
To commit. To commit is a very important and common word in English. It has several meanings, but we're going to learn the two most important ones.
That's right, Eric. The first meaning of to commit is to make a firm decision to do something or to dedicate yourself to a task, person, or idea. For example, he decided to commit to studying every night.
It means that he made a strong decision to study every night and will not let anything stop him from doing so.
Here's another example. She committed to helping her every weekend. It means that she promised to help her community every weekend, and she will do it whatever happens.
Now, let's talk about the second meaning of to commit. It can also mean to do something wrong or illegal, like to commit a crime. For example, the man was arrested because he committed a robbery. It means that the man did something illegal. He robbed someone, and that's why he was arrested.
Another example is, she was nervous because she thought she might commit a mistake during the presentation. It means that she was worried she might do something wrong, like make a mistake during her presentation.
So you can see that to commit can be used in two very different ways. It's important to understand the meaning from the context. Also, remember that after commit, we often use to and then a verb with ing form like commit to studying or commit to helping.
As for the other meaning, to commit something, like to commit a crime or commit suicide.
That's a very good point, Lisa. Now, let's hear a short dialogue to show how commit can be used in a conversation.
Hey, Sarah, are you coming to the volunteer event this weekend?
Yes, I've committed to helping out on Saturday. I think it's really important.
That's great. I know when you commit to something, you always do it. By the way, have you heard any recent news? Someone committed a robbery nearby last night.
Oh no, that's terrible. I hope they catch whoever did it.
In the dialogue, we heard commit used in two different ways. First, Sarah committed to helping out at the volunteer event, meaning she promised to do it. Then, David mentioned that someone committed a robbery, meaning they did something illegal.
Yes, and this shows that commit can be a very versatile word, depending on how it's used, like dedicating yourself to something positive or doing something wrong.
Eric, do you think commit is a common word in English?
Yes, Lisa. As I said at the beginning, it's quite common, especially in both formal and informal settings. You'll hear it a lot when people talk about promises, responsibilities, or even crimes. It's a word that's useful to understand in many different contexts.
I agree. And that's why it's important to listen carefully to how it's used in a sentence.
Exactly. Understanding the context will help you understand which meaning is used.
That's it for the word to commit. We hope our listeners understand its meaning. Okay, let's move on to our next word, Eric.
Our next word is to be into.
To be into.
To be into.
It's a common informal expression in English. Isn't it, Eric?
That's right, Lisa. To be into means to like something very much, or to be very interested in it. Let me give an example sentence. John is really into playing guitar.
It means that John really likes playing guitar and spends a lot of time doing it.
Good explanation. Now it's your turn, Lisa. Can you give us another example?
Sure. Here's another example. My sister is into cooking healthy meals. It means that your sister really enjoys cooking healthy food and probably does it often.
That's right. Now, let's talk about how to use this phrase. We often use it with the verb to be, followed by a noun or ing form. We can say, I am into sports, or she is into reading books. Now, let's hear a short dialogue using the phrase to be into.
Hey, Emma. What are you doing this weekend?
I'm going to an art exhibition. I'm really into painting.
Oh, cool. I didn't know you were into art.
Yeah, I've been into it for years. What about you? What are you into?
I'm more into sports. I play soccer every weekend.
That's great. Even though we're into different things, we both have hobbies we enjoy.
That was a great example, Eric. It shows how to be into can be used to talk about hobbies and interests.
Yes, and it also shows that people can be into different things but still be friends.
Absolutely. So, Eric, why do you think this word is useful?
I think it's useful because it's a simple way to talk about what we like. It's very common in everyday conversation.
That's true. And it's informal, right?
Yes, it's definitely more informal. We wouldn't use it in formal writing or speeches.
Also, it helps them sound more natural when talking.
Absolutely, Lisa.
Well, I think we've covered to be into pretty well. And now, let's move on to our last word of today. What's the last word, Eric?
Our last word today is let the cat out of the bag.
Let the cat out of the bag.
Let the cat out of the bag.
This is an interesting idiom in English.
That's right, Lisa. Let the cat out of the bag means to reveal a secret or surprise by accident. For example, John let the cat out of the bag about the surprise party for Sarah.
It means that John accidentally told someone about the surprise party for Sarah.
Good explanation. Can you give us another example, Lisa, now?
Sure. Here's another example. The company tried to keep the new product secret, but an employee let the cat out of the bag during an interview. It means that the employee accidentally gave information about the new product that the company wanted to keep a secret.
Exactly. Now, let's hear a short dialogue saying, let the cat out of the bag.
Anna, I have a secret to tell you, but you can't let the cat out of the bag.
Don't worry. I'm good at keeping secrets.
Okay? I'm planning a surprise vacation for my parents.
That's wonderful. I won't let the cat out of the bag.
Thanks. Last year, my sister let the cat out of the bag about their anniversary party.
Oh no! Well, your secret is safe with me.
In the dialogue, it shows how this phrase is used to talk about keeping and revealing secrets.
Yes, and it also shows that letting the cat out of the bag is usually not a good thing.
Absolutely. So, Eric, is let the cat out of the bag a formal or informal phrase?
It's definitely informal. You wouldn't use it in professional or formal writing. It's also fairly common, especially in casual conversations. People often use it when talking about secrets or surprises. Also, it's useful because it's a colorful way to talk about secrets. It can help learners understand native speakers better. And sound more natural.
That makes sense. Well, I think that's it for today's episode of Simply Explained English. We hope our listeners found it helpful.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to study today's words. You're doing great.
See you next time.
Bye.